might have heard of, Assassin's Creed. It takes you to different time zones and all around the world. It's a gorgeous film.
In Assassin's Creed, a convicted murderer called Cal is put to death with a lethal injection, after which he wakes up in a future taken over by the machines. Oh wait, that's Terminator. Here, Cal wakes up as a prisoner of a research company that hooks him up to an animus machine to relive the memories of his ancestor Aguilar, an assassin living in the good old 90s, the 1490s, at the time of the Spanish Inquisition. His mission? To locate the apple of Eden that holds the key to humanity's free will. And as you may already know, this movie sucks big time, enough to destroy the franchise before it even fully began. In fact, Assassin's Creed, or as I like to call it, ASS, is so terrible that it belongs to the holy trinity of my most anticipated films that ruined my day and turned me into this monotone drone who rarely gets excited about anything anymore. Which is strange, seeing as this is the most high-concept idea that a video game movie has ever put on the big screen. It's basically The Matrix, but set in ancient times of assassins. I mean, how the hell can this be bad? Well, there are actually many reasons why the movie's bad, some of them even identified by the main actor himself.
I think there's 3 beginnings to the film, which is a mistake.
The obvious reason being that most of the screen time is not spent in the exciting past, but instead in the boring present. A present where we just wander around a facility getting exposition and go to big rooms to discuss political ideas and repeatedly spend time on mundane stuff that nobody wants to see or hear.
I'm hungry. I'm hungry.
You're hungry.
I'm going to eat it.
But that being said, there's also a more fundamental flaw behind this movie's terribleness, which I already talked about way back when. The fact that it's all visuals and no narrative substance. The 2 timelines of past and present don't connect and thus have little value. The animus machine is unclear in the way it functions and thus becomes unexciting. And the story overall is a big nothing burger and thus puts you to sleep. So today, in honor of Assassin's Creed Shadows coming out, let's revisit the AC movie in this fairly new video series. A series where I implement the rewriting ideas from an earlier video to see how they would work in practice. Last time, we looked into what would happen if Batman v Superman was about the death of Robin. Today, let's look into what would happen if Assassin's Creed was actually good. And by the way, I still don't know if this video series is worth it or not, so if you like it and want more, please leave a like so I know. Thanks. The first substance issue here is that the elements in the 2 timelines lack connection, which leaves them all feeling empty and meaningless.
It feels like 2 separate stories playing out at once.
My point in the old video being that on the character side, for example, there's way too much to properly develop. There's assassins in the past who we don't see the faces of, assassin descendants in the present who we barely know the names of, enemy fighters in the past whose motivations we never learn, enemy security guards in the present who we never gain a motivation to fight, love story assassins and cute doctors and kings and CEOs and popes and cult leaders. Way too many boulders to push a meaningful distance.
My name is Baptiste.
Who?
And basically, the movie should have used various methods to connect these characters so that they push the same boulder, more than just occasional visual connections. Instead of there being 2 sets of assassin side characters, they should have been the same characters. Some of the assassin descendants with Cal should be the descendants of the assassins with Aguilar, played by the same actors. Now that one relationship is developed in the past, it also develops the one in the present because it is the same. Not all the descendants should be from Aguilar's time, and it makes sense that the company has used people from all over to track the Apple of Eden through time. But at least 1 or 2 key people should should be the same in both timelines, for there to be enough time to make those people and relationships feel meaningful.
They call me Musa, but my name is...
La manzana lo es todo.
Hey, yo, what's up, bro?
Instead of there being two different enemy henchmen, they should have embodied a similar emotional meaning. As opposed to what I said in the old video, I don't necessarily think that the security guard should be a descendant of the warrior, because not everyone can be related.
What?
They can be the same if you make it work logically, but they don't need to be. They could have also shared a connection through how Cal and the audience feels about them. When the warrior hunts down and bullies Aguilar, the security guard should do similar actions with Cal. We would learn to hate them in the same way. Our anger for one would contribute to our anger for the other. When the warrior ultimately cheats and kills Aguilar's partner, the security guard should, in a similar manner, cheat and take something from Cal. The guard may not be the same person as the warrior or accountable for his sins, but the way we feel about him is close enough to hold him accountable anyway. We would crave revenge on the guard as well, rather than not really care that we never even fight him. Instead of there being an endless number of separate characters, they should have represented the same ideas and themes and paths. We don't learn much about the Spanish king, but it would be fine if we could learn what there is to learn through the company CEO. Like, maybe they're both good people in power caving into the pressure from the Templar order to protect their child. You wouldn't have to understand many people, just one combined set of people. Even though the Pope is an empty canvas, it wouldn't be an issue because his paint would be added by the Templar leader who shares his lust for control for some reason. One boulder, further distance. I know that's just the character side, but these connecting methods work on everything, like the story. The plot points should have been the same, like how Cal could learn the leap of faith ability from Aguilar escaping Templars in the past to then escape the Templar facility with it in the present. The journeys should have embodied similar emotional beats, like how Aguilar liking this lady assassin who he can't have because of what they are could echo Cal liking this company doctor who he can't have because of what they are. The story altogether should have represented one thing, like how the apple could be needed to solve one overarching problem existing in both timelines in different forms, which we'll get deeper into later. As a whole, if the two timelines were more connected through their elements, the movie would go twice the distance and be way more worthwhile. Another substance problem here is that the rules and stakes of the special world are unclear, which reduces the world to feel not special or exciting at all.
It never clearly establishes the rules of its world.
Like I said in the old video, there's all this yapping about what the animus is and what you need to do in it and what can go wrong and so on, so on, so on, but none of it really means anything tangible.
We found Aguilar.
Stay with the memory, Cal. We're synchronizing.
You've been dethinking in the animus.
Hallucinations are what we call the bleeding effect. Leap of faith.
I'm having that bag. I've seen some of these documentaries. I ain't believing none of that. Hey, the game government ain't no getting no one in the mass sample. No, give them a 3D.
I have no idea what the you're saying right now.
On the rule side, it should have been way more deliberate and clear what exactly is required from Cal in the animus. Currently, it's not really evident if he has to do something or if he can do something wrong or if he's just along for the ride. And that doesn't work. It's boring to watch. The reason the games work is because the player is in control, required to put in the inputs to succeed. That's where the excitement comes from. That's what the movie should have done as well. When Cal goes in the machine, his role and meaning must be clarified. Essentially, he should become Aguilar. He knows what Aguilar knows, he feels what Aguilar feels, he has Aguilar's abilities, but he must be the one making the actions, and the animus's functionality hinges on him succeeding. Like, maybe the machine can basically reconstruct genetic memory, but only so long as the memory stays truthful to its original form. Meaning that if Cal fails to do the thing that Aguilar really did, the memory simulation fails.
Complete desync.
Now there would be a clear point in Cal's role, just like with the player in the games. It can be a bit tricky to establish what constitutes as success and failure, but the key is in establishing consistent parameters. Like, okay, maybe the memory doesn't have to stay 100% truthful. If Cal is supposed to jump over a gap as Aguilar, it doesn't matter if he does it on his left foot or right foot. What matters is that he successfully jumps over the gap and stays within the parameters of the memory so that the memory can progress without glitching out. And if he doesn't manage to do that, it's game over and restart. Way more purposeful and exciting to watch than to just see Cal be tossed around in this visually cool machine, not really sure what any of it means.
We're synchronizing.
Brilliant! I have absolutely no idea what's going on.
This leads to the stakes side, which currently doesn't feel real. Yeah, there's all this talk about desyncing and whatever, and one time Cal spasses out in the machine and gets put in a wheelchair. But then in the next scene, he's fine again. And it's like, huh? And so once again, the parameters must be clarified. The Matrix, for example, is clear. The simulation is in your mind, which makes it real for your body. You get hurt in the Matrix, you get hurt in the real world. You die in the Matrix, you die in the real world. Clear. Of course, you cannot do the same here. Firstly, because the Matrix already did it, and secondly, because the memory is what it is. Cal shouldn't be punished for getting hurt as Aguilar if that's what really happened. He shouldn't be punished for not failing. That's not how stakes work. Stakes work when the thought of failure is intimidating. And so, to continue my rule example, early on there should be a scene where Cal himself fails. He's in the machine and he's freaking out and he dies as Aguilar and the simulation collapses. Now the parameters of the stakes can be established and the toll of failure on Cal can be shown. Whenever he fails in the machine, his mind and body progressively deteriorate. Not just for one scene, but forever, so evidently and strongly that we begin to dread him failing in the machine. Suddenly, the gap that Cal must jump across as Aguilar starts to feel way more intimidating. He's on a journey requiring effort instead of on tracks that we already know will take him to his destination. In this manner, all high conceptual elements must be clarified and empowered. Don't just hook Cal up in the animus and skip to random memories with no logic.
Andalusia, 1492.
Scanning DNA chains, searching for time frame. We found him. We found Aguilar.
Government and no getting the one in the best sample, not give him a 3D.
Define the rules. For example, maybe the doctors can use audiovisual cues to evoke a genetic memory in the brain, which the animus then recreates. You know, they have followed many descendants through time to locate this place in time where the Templars get the prince. And now they use specific audiovisual cues of that to make Cal's brain go there and then follow his memory like a string. Clear and exciting. Hey, I was wondering, can you pick and choose the moment in time you want to go to? And if so, can't you just directly go to the moment Aguilar has the apple?
That's not how the animus works.
Okay, but then how is the moment selected? How do you even know when and where to go?
That's not how the animus works.
Right, but there has to be a reason we're watching all these specific events, right?
That's not how the animus works.
So what? You're just not gonna explain any of this?
That's how the animus works.
The third substance problem here is that the content as a whole is so intangible and meaningless that it just puts you to sleep.
There's just too many problems with the script, courtesy of who else but Ubisoft.
As I talked about in the old video, Cal, for example, is way underdeveloped. Everything about him is thrown on with glue and tape. He's a murderer on death row, but we never get into who he murdered or why outside of a short mention.
You killed a man.
Pimp.
He's a descendant of an assassin, but he has no agency or goals of his own and instead gets constantly pushed forward to complete the goals of others. He goes after the apple of Eden like Aguilar, but for no clear reason aside from just getting it away from the bad guys. Even the apple itself has no depth in terms of what it does or what it's needed for. Every faction just wants it because it's a mythical MacGuffin ball that's the answer to everything.
The apple contains the genetic code for free will. Shikaka. Shakaka.
And what the movie should have done is make everything more tangible, more three-dimensional and deep. Instead of Cal and Aguilar going after the apple just because it's the MacGuffin that the villains want, give them more personal motivation to do so. Something to use it for, rather than just to get it and go stand with it on a rooftop. For example, maybe the apple holds the key to the past somehow, and the reason Cal wants it is because it's a way for him to find out what really happened to his dead mom or something. Or better yet, maybe that's the real reason he wants to go into the animus, to connect with his mom and solve the mystery of her death. Just something to create personal agency instead of this basic search for a MacGuffin with nothing more. If pirates can do it on a way bigger scale, you have no excuse. Instead of the apple existing only in people's words, establish its power and purpose in practice. In the past, show that there are riots that the Templars can't handle, and then show that the same is happening in the present. That's the tangible problem that the Templars then and now need the apple for. This is how they use it in the past to mow down opposition, and that's how they intend to use it today. Don't just say stuff about free will being a problem and the apple the answer with no evidence of any of that.
The threat remains while free will exists.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
As a whole, this movie needed to be way more concrete with its story. It's about an endless war between assassins and Templars, but we never dive into what that war or those factions actually are. It takes place during the Spanish Inquisition, but after seeing it, I still know as little about the Spanish Inquisition as I did before. The movie may have actually taken place in the Middle East, and I would barely notice a difference because in practice it makes no difference. It's just talk.
Welcome to the Spanish Inquisition.
Okay.
That's this movie's greatest sin, treating everything it has like shallow gimmicks. It opens in the past where assassins just hang out talking about stuff, and then it goes to the present where there's a flashback with young Cal. What the hell were you thinking? Why are there multiple pasts before the story even properly begins? Just make the most of what you already have. Open the movie with the assassins already in the process of saving the prince to establish the value of the prince. Then move on to adult Cal in a normal prison or in his daily life to establish who he is today. Because currently, this stuff means nothing. The bleeding effect of Cal learning to be a fighter like Aguilar is pointless when I have no idea how good of a fighter he was before he started learning from Aguilar. Like, you're just saying terms from the games and from history and expect it to matter on its own. How dumb can you be? Anyway, I'm getting pissed off again, so here's my point. This movie sucks ass, it ruined my day 9 years ago, and even I could have easily made it way better. And I'm not even a Hollywood executive getting paid millions. So, synchronize with that.